It's a topic that's going to come up every year, again and again and again. It's all in the media, and I thought it'd be great just to get some real understanding of how this dilemma or the gap between Aboriginal people and the rest of Australia has started. So before I begin, I'll just quickly acknowledge the traditional owners of the country that I'm on. Are you all familiar with this map? Yeah, so it's the Aboriginal language map of Australia. Each colour represents a different country, hence welcome to country. And it's just like Europe, where you've got one landmass with lots of little countries in it with their own borders, their own nuances of culture and traditions and beliefs. So I'm from this area here, which is Walwan, which is outback New South Wales. So it's around Canamble, Pilliga, Walgett, up to Brewarrina. I'm based here in Brisbane, so obviously I'm unable to do a welcome, but I can do an acknowledgement. What I do like people to do, however, is do it with me. So I can't hear you, but please do this with me because it's relevant to everybody. So I acknowledge the traditional owners of North and South Brisbane, the Turrbal and Yagara people. I also acknowledge traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and culture. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and I also acknowledge any Aboriginal person here today. So what is reconciliation? At its heart, reconciliation is about strengthening relationships between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous peoples for the benefit of all Australians. In a just, equitable and reconciled Australia, Indigenous children will have the same life chances and choices as non-Indigenous children. At the length and quality of a person's life will not be determined by their racial background. Our vision of reconciliation is based and measured on 5 dimensions. So this is reconciliation.org. So historical acceptance, race relations, equality and equity, institutional integrity and unity. So today I'm going to be looking at historical acceptance. So to start with, have you heard of the myth of Terra Nullius? Okay, so that's where Captain Cook claimed the country, saying that nobody lived here. But let's have a look at England's policies at the time. So in 1770, Captain James Cook landed in Botany Bay, home of the Eora people, and claimed possession of the east coast of Australia for Britain under the doctrine of Terra Nullius. According to the international law of Europe in the late 18th century, there were only 3 ways that Britain could take possession of another country. First, if the country was uninhabited, Britain could claim and settle that country. In this case, it could claim ownership of the land. 2, if the country was already inhabited, Britain could ask for permission from Indigenous people to use some of their land. In this case, Britain could purchase land for its own use, but it could not steal the land of the Indigenous people. And 3, if the country was inhabited, Britain could take over the country by invasion and conquest. In other words, defeat that country in war. However, even after winning a war, Britain would have to respect the rights of Indigenous people. And strangely, Britain did not follow any of these rules in Australia. Since there were already people living in Australia, Britain could not take possession by settling this country. However, from the time of Captain Cook's arrival, the British government acted as if Australia were uninhabited. So instead of admitting that it was invading land that belonged to Aboriginal people, Britain acted as it was settling an empty land. This is what is meant by the myth of Terra Nullius. Were you aware of that? Okay, good. So then, Australia Day is the official National Day of Australia, observed annually on 26th of January. It marks the 1788 landing of the First Fleet and raising of the Union flag by Arthur Phillip at Sydney Cove in New South Wales. So straight away, can you see the disconnect from Australia Day for Aboriginal people? What I'd like to do now is just show you a short video of some Aboriginal people giving their thoughts Before I do, I just want to tell you that for the first time in 16 years, I actually left my house on Australia Day this year. I had some strong Maori friends that encouraged me, and I actually felt sick leaving the house and had to turn around and come back and have rescue remedy because of the trauma that this day has inflicted on me. I have had people driving by and throwing beer cans at me, swearing, abusing me and my children and grandchildren. And this is a common occurrence for all of us, particularly as the day wears on and the alcohol kicks in. And it really is safer for us just to stay home. So
Australia Day. Australia Day. It's an interesting one.
Australia Day. What is Australia Day? Don't you mean Invasion Day?
It means different things to different people. For us, it means survival.
Invasion Day, our survival.
Survival Day. And celebrations of survival of one of the oldest cultures, if not the oldest culture on earth.
Racism.
I think a joke.
It's really sad.
My gut drops at the fact that they celebrate that day that we lost or that we had. Yeah. Isn't it?
Insensitive, to say the least.
An offence. Everything at once. Brotherhood, sisterhood, clan, mob, strength.
It does bring up a lot of hurt, a lot of heartache.
It's like somebody that comes into your house, does horrible things to your family, and they're like, dude, we're gonna have a party, have a barbecue and listen to Triple J. Yeah, and we're gonna put it on the date we turned up. You're like, that's kind of sadistic, man. Like, why would you do that?
People celebrating the day that your people got slaughtered and invaded, and the day that caused all that destruction and all that suffering to very peaceful people.
For a lot of Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders, it's a day of mourning.
It's the day that marks the beginning of the massacres.
It's celebrating rape, it's celebrating murders.
I celebrate so many things about being here, about how beautiful this country is. But at the same time, there's a dark and disconnected culture.
I think that our country is a great country and it's beautiful and there are a lot of opportunities here. I feel that celebrating Australia Day on the 26th of January is wrong. That doesn't make any sense.
The 1st of January 1901 was when the states federated to become a country. It was loosely called Australia before then. It became official. This was now the nation called Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia. That should be Australia Day.
If it's truly a celebration of what we are as a nation, then we need to include the First Nations of this country.
A day that we could all celebrate.
I'll help you celebrate it if you like.
We're quite inclusive people, so we just want to be included as well. Maybe you should celebrate Australia as a whole and as it was before. And think about who's included in that culture when you're celebrating.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move this around. Yep. So I'm going to play one last video because I have a firm belief that when you complain about something, you also offer a solution. And okay.
The 26th of January is a day that we have traditionally celebrated Australia. But for some Australians, it's a bit of a shitty day because it's the day that Australia was invaded by colonists. So let's celebrate on a different day, the most Australian day of all, the 8th of May. May 8th. Mate. It's May 8th. May. Right, you're in. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Jordan, we're not celebrating the invasion. We're celebrating Australia. We just want to slip, slop, slap some backyard cricket with a fair dinkum Golden Gate on True Blue Bunnings Warehouse. Now look, I get that. But let's imagine that Australia is one big share house, and you live in that share house, and your housemates come home and say, hey, we're going to have a party on Friday night. And you say, oh, can we not do it on Friday night? That's the day my dad died. Now, good housemates would say, sure, we'll have it next week. We want to make sure everyone has a good time. It's kind of like that, except your housemates moved in without permission, they don't pay rent, and their dad killed your dad, which is why they're staying in your dad's old room. So let's make Australia Day May 8th. Sure, it might be a bit cold in May, but it's not as cold as ignoring genocide.
So this happens, as I said, again, every year, again and again and again. Okay. Look, thank you very much for listening to me. That's the end of my presentation. If at any time anyone's felt triggered or anything or wants to follow up with me, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to hear from you. So would anyone like to give any feedback on that? If not, it's
Thank you, Donna. That was amazing. And that video at the end was hilarious with them coming up with May 8. I think that's a fabulous day. It so describes this.
It would be a brilliant day, wouldn't it?
Really, yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So do I, but especially when the lady says it. Because you just go, yeah, May 8 until she goes, May. It's hilarious. Yeah. And it is. And it's a great solution. And it appeals to all Australian sense of humour. Laughing at ourselves is something that we all do quite well. So, yeah. But thank you. It was very educational. And I hadn't seen that map before. So, yeah, so thank you.
Can you share the video link for the May 8?
Oh, yeah, if you just Google Jordan.
Okay.
So Jordan.
Yeah, I thought it was a definitely it would be a good day, and while working with Donna, it gave me a different perspective because we don't really understand the emotion and the feeling behind this and why it's such disturbing now. And this is where education comes in, and the fact that Donna is scared to go out on Australia Day, that's dreadful, absolutely dreadful that she should be exposed to this sort of behaviour. And it's like, really?
But it is a lack of education. That's all.
That's it. That's it.
Like, I can't believe anyone would do it. Like,
and I think education in a palatable way.
Yeah.
In your case, not anger, not blame or guilt. Yeah. And that's what I do with my training. And I certainly don't do politics or religion as well in my training. Yeah, it has to be palatable for people so they can really think about it.
And that's what it comes down to, because most white Australians would not have even thought about it.
No.
You know, Invasion Day. And when you say it and you educate us, you go, yeah, that's pretty bad.
You know, but obvious when you show the facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
You know, like I was saying earlier that when I went to Uluru, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how great it is. And I can remember when they decided to change it from Ayers Rock to Uluru. And I went, how dare they? Who do they think this is? But when I went out there and they told us why they were changing, I went, oh my God, why didn't the media tell us this? Everyone would have gone, yeah, it needs to be called Uluru. But it was just a lack of education. That's all it was. Because once people understand it, logically you'll go, yeah, it deserves to be called Uluru.
Yeah, we saw that uproar as well when they closed the track up to the top of Uluru. Unfortunately, what a lot of people weren't aware of was people going up there were not only littering, they were going to the toilet up there as well. And in the ponds up there, there's actually crayfish that are, those ponds are the only places in the world that they live, like little shrimps and that sort of stuff. And they were being killed off and damaged because of the fecal matter in the water from people climbing up there.
Yeah. But as soon as they said, would you like someone walking all over your house? And as soon as they said that, why would anyone? No, I wouldn't want anyone. So, yeah, why would I climb it? Yeah.
So I just
So I
want
think the two videos together were really good because the first one highlights and that makes people aware of the situation and how it's felt. But the second one then brings a bit more humour back to it as well. So it helps people deal with or process the first one without getting, because people take that on board and depending on how it hits their emotions, it can have a negative effect with them. But then to have that humour on the end and showing that, yep, there is a lighter side to this and we can come together in humour and have a good time and be brothers and sisters together, uncles and aunties, then I think those two videos, you wouldn't just play one on its own, you'd play both.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for that feedback, Alan. Yeah.
So I'll just share that this is what Donna's aim is to make an impact in the schools, to educate the next generation so that we're not perpetuating it. So she's got lesson plans that she teaches the kids on values and respect for the Aboriginal culture, but they have lesson plans like conflict management, how to resolve conflict, jealousy, and various stuff. So there's great life lessons in there, absolutely brilliant. And she's got morning meditations for the kids as well to respect and feel really good. So this is the sort of stuff that we want to get into the schools. So if you know anybody and got any influence in schools, this is part of the new book of answers. It'll be a page in there. I'm changing the way we're doing the book of answers. And she's got a course directly for teachers about integrating Indigenous teaching methods for emotional resilience in the classrooms. So it's educating the teachers that, because this is the only way we're going to change future generations, is to actually start at the school level. It's a bit harder to change when they're already out of school, but if we can change it at the primary school level and the school level, then this might mean that we've got some change for the future. So just sort of round that off with something that we're doing at the moment. So well done, Donna.
Thanks. Can I just say thanks, Karina, for that with my objective when I'm doing the stuff for the teachers and the class plans and that, is to build, it's for every student, not just Indigenous. And the objective is to create a strong team environment where the teacher is the leader and everyone, it's inclusive. Yeah, so it's not just, before Aboriginal lessons were just for the Aboriginal kids. Well, that doesn't, take advantage of the opportunity for everybody to learn about it. Yeah.
Do you connect with Maori people in New Zealand and to share the experiences that they have and the learnings they have made?
Yeah, as I said, one of my best friends are Maori, and they were the only reason that I left the house on Australia Day. Yeah, and big strong dude was very protective. We chose a location. I told him when I'd pulled up in my car, he walked out and then escorted me into where we were having lunch. And also escorted me back out again. They're wonderful. And it was only because they did that I felt safe enough to go out. Yeah.
I'm glad you had the support.
Yeah, thanks.
It's disgusting that she needs the support.
But
it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Mortifying.
But I'm just glad that you had it because
Thank you.